Hello friends, I am Ayantika and in this video I will be discussing about one bryophyte, Riccia, and the sexual reproduction in Riccia. In earlier videos I have made about an overview of Riccia where I have discussed the thallus structure and economic and ecological importance of Riccia. And in another video I have made about asexual reproduction in Riccia. And here in this video I will be discussing about the sexual reproduction of Riccia and its life cycle in brief. I am making these videos in parts according to the long type of question, the 5 marks question in BSc, where you will be just getting this type of questions here, that is the like write about the describe the sexual reproduction in Riccia or describe the life cycle of Riccia. These two questions you will be able to answer by seeing this video. So let's start the video. So the reproduction, the sexual reproduction, it occurs by two sex organ. The male sex organ is called the antheridium and the female sex organ called the archegonium. And they are the sex organ, where are they present, what is the position? We know that the thallus of Riccia, it is dorso-ventrally flattened and it has lobe-like structure. Here we can see this is the thallus of Riccia. Here it is the thallus of Riccia, and we see that each of the lobe of Riccia is dichotomously branched, and in each of these lobes, here we see this is the apical region, and the sex organ, they are born on the dorsal or the upper surface of the thallus of Riccia, and they are present in a single line, or more or less like a line from the apex. This is the apical region, and from the apex they occur as a single line of reproductive cells, and they occur very close to the mid dorsal groove. So you see this is the mid dorsal, this is the groove, the dorsal groove, and the sex organ, they are present in a line along the groove extending from the growing tip towards the posterior. And the sex organ that are born on the dorsal surface of the Riccia, they develop in a acropetal order. Acropetal order, which means that they the very young immature sex organs, they are present at the apex. So if this is a lobe, very young sex organs, they are present here. Very young sex organ, they are present here, and the very old mature sex organ, they are present here. This is the matured sex organ. So we see that the young sex organ are occurring at the tip, and this type of development, it is called the acropetal development. The sex organ are developed in a acropetal order. So this is the position. They are born on the dorsal surface, very close to the groove. Here we see very close to the groove in a line, and produced in acropetal fashion. And there are two type of Riccia type, depending upon whether they have the sex organ, both the sex organ in a single thallus. When the sex organ, they are both the type of sex organ, that is archegonium and antheridium, they are present in the same thallus, then it is the monoecious species. And if different thallus bears a particular type of sex organ, that is antheridium in one thallus and archegonium in another thallus, that type of species, it is called the dioecious species. So Riccia has two type of distribution of sex organ. One is monoecious, another is dioecious. So this was the position and distribution of sex organ. Now, what are the factors that influence or initiate sex organ development? These are the factors, that is light and temperature. So whether the Riccia species is a long day species or a short day species, that will determine its light and temperature requirement for initiation, which means that the light and temperature requirement is different according to the different type of species. Long day species will have more importance will be on the photo period, that is the light period, and in short day species they will be requiring very short amount of photo period just to start the initiation of sex organ. So this is the factors that influence the sex organ development, their distribution. Now we will be discussing about the sex organs. Here one thing I should be showing you in this diagram. You see that this is the archegonium, or the female reproductive organ. I know that I don't know whether you can see it properly, but I am drawing it. So these sex organs, both antheridium and archegonium, if the archegonium is produced, they will be produced in this type of chamber. They will be produced in this type of chamber that lie inside the groove. So the sex organ, they do not have they are present embedded in the thallus of the gametophyte. So sex organ are embedded in the thallus of the gametophyte. This male gametophyte, male gamete, they are produced in the antheridial chamber, and the female one, it is the archegonial chamber. And only in Riccia this type of distribution is found, whereas in Markensia or other type of Hepaticopsida, you can see that they are born on elevated structure called the gametophore. But here in Riccia, the gametophores are absent, and sex organ, they are born deeply inside the thallus of the gametophyte. And this archegonial chamber and antheridial chamber, which bears the archegonia and the antheridia, they are open, they open to the surface by a small opening called ostiole. Ostiole is not open in case of the female female sexual organ, but in case of male it is so. And that is this is the antheridial chamber, male reproductive structure, that is the male reproductive unit, the antheridium. Here we see that this is a elongated ovoid or pear shaped structure, and we see that it has got a stalk. It has got a stalk of few cells which help in the attachment of this reproductive organ to the thallus of the Riccia. And this structure, we see it is an advancement over the algae, because algae, they were in water, so they required very little protection. So the gamete forming organ, the reproductive organ, they did not have any cellular wall. They had just a wall, non-cellular wall, but this cellular wall is only present in the in the bryophytes. It started the cellular wall of the reproductive organ. It was started from this bryophytes only. So the reproductive organ, this is a oval shaped structure that has a single layer wall of the antheridial wall or the jacket cells. These are called these cells are called the jacket cells, and they are born as a single layer, that is the layer is single cell thick, and this jacket, they are sterile cell, and inside the jacket are the fertile cells or the androcyte mother cells. Now this androcyte mother cells or they undergo repeated division to form the androcytes or the spermatids. Now this androcytes or the spermatids, they have a very large nucleus and a very dense cytoplasm, and they get metamorphosed into a spermatid, into a sperm. So the androcytes or the spermatids, they are metamorphosed to produce a sperm, and the process is called spermatogenesis. And a single androcyte, one single androcyte, it can produce two sperms, two sperms, and the sperms, they are very slender structure. They have got a posterior vesicle, and to the posterior vesicle is the elongated nucleus, comma shaped nucleus, and the anterior to it is the two whiplash flagella. So the androcytes, this is the androcyte mother cell, this is the androcyte. Each of these cells, these are the androcytes, they have got a large nucleus, and each of these cells, they form a sperm. So many sperm are produced inside the antheridial wall, and when the androcytes, they are mature, and as they are born on the dorsal surface, if there is a sufficient amount of water in the dorsal surface, and at the same time the androcyte mother cell, they the androcyte or the spermatids, they mature into sperm, then what happens, this top cell, this top layer of jacket cell, they gelatinize, and sperms are liberated. So this is the antheridium structure, and I haven't mentioned in detail about how the entire thing, that is the how the antheridium is developing into a sperm, because I will be discussing it in a separate video, because that will come as a separate question. So, and also the video will become quite long. So this was about antheridium. So the female reproductive organ is the archegonium. Here we see that the archegonium, it is a flush shaped structure. It has got a neck and a venter. This is the venter. This portion is the venter, and this portion is the neck. This is the picture of a mature archegonium, but archegonium, usually the neck portion, it contains of four neck canal cell. There are 4 cells. So this is one of the first cell, the second cell, and the third and the fourth cell. So I have drawn it a bit wrong. All these cells will be equal in size. So the archegonium mainly consists of a neck and a venter. The upper portion, that is the neck, has 4 cells, and the venter has this one ventral canal cell, and under the ventral canal cell is the egg cell. So this one is the egg cell, and the ventral canal cell, this one here, it is the ventral canal cell. So this archegonia, this flash-shaped archegonia, it is born inside the archegonial chamber, and that lies embedded in the thallus of the Riccia gametophyte on the dorsal surface. And this is the ostiole, this is the opening of the archegonial chamber. In Antheridia, in the last slide also, the opening was called ostiole. So these are the, this is the archegonia. And one thing I should be mentioning, that each of this neck cell, each of this neck canal cell has is surrounded by a jacket. This is the jacket. Here we see this jacket has 6 or 8 longitudinal row of cells. This jacket, these are all sterile cells, and their sole function is to protect the main archegonia. So this archegonia as well as the antheridia in bryophytes, they have a sterile layer, single cell sterile layer of jacket cell around them, and this distinguishes the bryophytes, so that they are one step advanced than the aquatic environment, or where at least water is available in the form of dew. That water which collects on the dorsal surface, it actually acts as a capillary tube on which the small amount of water helps in the movement of the sperm. So in the antheridia, when in the antheridia, when the androcyte or the spermatids, they mature into sperm, then what happens, the outer jacket, the tip of the outer jacket, the cells in the tip, they gelatinize, and the sperms that are produced inside, they are liberated, and the sperm, they swim from the antheridial chamber. This is the antheridial chamber. They swim out, and along the dorsal surface they swim, and ultimately they reaches the ostiole of the archegonial chamber, or the female reproductive organ. So the sperm that are produced from the male reproductive organ, they are liberated along with the mucilage, and they swim on the dorsal surface to reach the female reproductive organ in the archegonial chamber. And by this time, the neck canal cell that was present in the archegonium, this one, the neck canal cell that was present here, they have degraded, and also the ventral canal cell that was present here in this region also degenerated, and they degenerated to produce a mucilaginous mass. And that mucilage, what it does is it oozes out in the ostiole region. In this ostiole region, they oozes out, and this mucilage, it contains certain proteins and potassium ion that are chemoattractant for the sperms. So the sperms, they swim in the water body, in the water that is present on the dorsal surface of the thallus, and they are attracted by this female reproductive organ. So they swim to the mouth of the ostiole, where the neck canal cell as well as the ventral canal cell already degenerated and created a passage for easy passage for the sperms. These are the sperms we see. These are the sperms. So they enter, or the sperms enter, and only one sperm fertilize the egg. And after fertilization, that is, we know that the gametophytic generation, that is the dominant phase, it ends with the gamete, And then when the gamete they fuse, the resultant cell, that is the zygote, this one, the zygote, here we see that this is the the egg and the sperm nucleus, they're going to fuse. So after fusion, the zygote is the first cell of the sporophytic generation, that is the diploid generation. So the with the gamete, the gametophytic generation end, and after fertilization, zygote is the first cell of the sporophytic generation. However, the zygote is retained inside this venter. This is the venter. This is the venter of the archegonial chamber, and the zygote, it is retained within the within the venter, and this neck canal cell, they have degenerated. So this jacket cells, the jacket cells of the neck region also, it degenerates, and only the venter, the cells of the venter, that is this guard cells of the venter, the first they form cell of the sporophytic membrane called the the zygote, which lies in the ventral cavity, and it rounds off, increases in size, secretes a wall, but still lies in the ventral cavity, which the ventral cavity also enlarges to have this to just accommodate this growing zygote, and later the embryo and sporogonium. So the venter also expands, and the venter, the guard jacket layer of the venter, it also undergoes division to form a two-layered calyptra. So the zygote, after repeated division, forms a mass of undifferentiated cell. So this is the zygote, a single-celled structure. So it undergoes repeated division to form multicellular structure, undifferentiated structure called the embryo. And this undifferentiated mass of cells called the embryo, it has a mature, it is protected by two-layered wall called calyptra. This calyptra is actually the jacket layer of the venter. So this two-layered calyptra, double layered calyptra is present. So these outer two layers, they are called the calyptra. So calyptra is not the part of the embryo, but it is a part of the archegonial chamber that is protecting the embryo now. So after the undifferentiated cells, or the embryo, it undergoes maturation. It undergoes maturation, and they differentiate, the cells of the embryo differentiate into two layer, that is the outer epithecium and the inner endothecium. Then it is called the sporogonium. The outer epithecium, this one, it forms a jacket layer, it is sterile, but the endothecium, they are the sporogenous tissue, cells. This endothecium, they form two type of cells. One is the spore and another is the Nars cell. So during the formation of spore, the process is called sporogenesis, where the epithecium, where the endothelial cells, they undergo repeated division, mitotic division at first, then meiotic division. This meiotic division, due to this meiotic division, spores are formed. So sporogonium is the last stage of the sporophytic generation, and the sporogonium produces haploid spores, which starts the gametophytic generation. So this haploid spore, it is flaked by Nars cells, which are nutritive in function, and the spores, they are liberated. They remain inside the venter of the archegonial chamber, and only when the surrounding tissue, they die and decay, they are liberated, but the spore, on return of favorable condition, they germinate. And how do they germinate? Now the spore, this is a spore, this one, it has an outer thick layer, horny projections called the exine, and an inner layer, intine. Inner layer is much thin, and when there is abundance of water in the atmosphere, this exine outer layer, it shows a germ pore like structure. And in this region, the exine burst, and the intine or the inner layer, it comes out as a germ tube, including the content of the spore. So the content of the spore, it has haploid nucleus, that is N, and this entire germ tube, it grows out into this structure, and at the very apical region, septum is formed. Here we see, and gradually by repeated septation, the structure of the gametophyte gradually develops. Here we see, this is the thallus body of the gametophyte that is developing, and the rhizoids, we see rhizoids are also formed. In this way, by sexual reproduction, again the gametophytic generation is formed. So this is the life cycle in brief. So this is the mature, where is it gone? This is the mature gametophyte, and gametophyte has bearing the sex organs. Here we see on the dorsal surface along the mid groove, and this is the male reproductive organ, and this one is the female reproductive organ. Once they mature, these gametes, these are the gametes, they are produced. Here we see, this is the egg cell and this is the sperm. So after fertilization, zygote is formed, and the zygote undergoes, here in this stage, the zygote undergoes repeated division to form the embryo. This is the embryo, and up to this also we see the embryo. Then what happens? Differentiation occur, and we have this, here we see outer layer of amphithecium and the inner layer endothecium, and endothecium develops into spore mother cell, which later develops spore, and each of this spore, the spore mother cell undergoes division to form 4 spore. One spore mother cell form 4 spores, and each of the spores, they are haploid and develop into again another gametophytic phase. So in this entire life cycle, this stage, the sporophytic generation, it lies embedded in the thallus of the gametophyte. The gametophyte we see is just a bulbous, the sporophyte, here we see, this is the sporophytic structure, is just a bulbous capsule, and the sporophyte of Riccia, it is special from other Hepaticopsida, because other Hepaticopsida have, in addition to this capsule like structure, they have a seta, that is a neck region, and a foot region. But the sporophyte of Riccia is the simplest of all the Hepaticopsida. It is composed of just a capsule like structure. I will be discussing the detail about the structure of the sporophyte in another video, because that will also come as a short question, as a 5 marks question. So I will be discussing it there. I'm not discussing it here now. And also I will be discussing about the reproductive structure, how they are developed. That question also comes. So in the next video, in a separate video, I will be discussing structure of the. So this was all about the life cycle, as well as development of the sex organ, that is development of archegonia, development of antheria. So if you have any queries, do share it in the comment section. Write it in the comment section. And if you want me to make any new videos, also write it in the comment section. I'm making videos on bryophyte. Also simultaneously I'm making videos on algae and fungi also. You can subscribe to my channel, and you can get easy access to those videos also. If you like this video, do share it with your friends, and also do subscribe my channel for encouraging me. Thank you for watching this video.